why he's MVP. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
With the All-Star break coming up, I wanted to give you my opinions on what I think the All-Star should look like. Not necessarily what I think they will look like, what I think they should look like. I'm going to break it down by 2 conferences, obviously, and 3 tiers. So my tiers are going to be borderline. So these are players that I think might get in. I wouldn't be surprised if they get in. I'm giving them like a 40% chance to get in, but they have to beat the people above them to get in. The probables, who are the people that I think are the most deserving players to get in, and then the locks. The locks are the players that if they don't get in, then something went absolutely wrong. Either they got injured or, something like that. Locks, probable, borderline. Pretty self-explanatory. Because I think the West is actually the easier one to do this year. So for my borderline players, I have Anthony Davis, Anthony Edwards, Kristaps Porzingis, Brandon Ingram, and DeJounte Murray. So as these guys are kind of like honorable mentions, I think Anthony Davis has been getting a lot of crap this year, and I just don't know if he's better than any of the people above him in the probable category. Now, while his counting shots might show that he's averaging 20 and 10, the wins aren't there, and the Lakers already have another All-Star. And for a team that's below 500 right now, getting 2 All-Stars is really, really rare. So 1 All-Star, which we'll get to later, and Anthony Davis. I think Anthony Davis gets a short end of the stick here. I don't think he's an All-Star, but I wouldn't be surprised if they put him in because of how big of a name he is, and he still has the counting stats. Anthony Edwards is kind of in the same boat. He is another All-Star on his team, an All-Star that I would be more than surprised if he didn't get in. And while the counting stats are there, he has missed time for COVID, as well, most of the players on this list have. But I don't think his team is good enough to have 2 All-Stars once again, and someone else on his team is better. Kristaps Porzingis, once again, another player on the team is better, but he's having a comeback year, so I wanted to give him a little bit of a shout-out, especially as a Mavs fan. He's been having a really good year, but I don't know if you really give him a nod over some of the people above him. Brandon Ingram. Now, Brandon Ingram was a borderline player just because I ran out of slots in my probable. The probable have 7 players, the locks have 5. So I don't see a world where Brandon Ingram doesn't deserve an All-Star spot, but I think that the 7 players in the probable category are going to be better than him. So we'll see. I would like to see Brandon Ingram. I think he deserves it, but I think 7 players are better. And DeJounte Murray. DeJounte Murray's quietly been almost averaging a triple-double. Now, while he's not super efficient from 3, he is the main player in that Spurs offense. And while I thought it was going to be Keldon Johnson that was going to be taking over, it's actually being DeJounte Murray who's been lighting it up. And I'm really, really glad to see that that is what he is doing. So my borderline players are Anthony Davis, Anthony Edwards, Kristaps Porzingis, Brandon Ingram, and DeJounte Murray. Moving on to the probable category. So like I said, probable category, so I think we'll probably get it over the borderline players. But those 2, they're more interchangeable than the locks and the probable are. So my first probable player is Paul George. However, yesterday we just got news that Paul George is going to miss 3 to 4 weeks at least, and then he'll be reevaluated. So I think he'll get the All-Star nod. But the player that I have replacing Paul George is ironically a player that got traded for Paul George in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has been one of the more clutch players in the league. We saw him hit a couple of threes. I think we're back-to-back games. One didn't matter because Devontae Graham decided to hit a full-court 3 to win the game, which was insane, by the way. And then he hit another game winner the day after. He has been the light in the OKC darkness this year. So I think he deserves this All-Star spot, and it'll be his first All-Star. Just the kid is incredible at the game of basketball, and he's so much fun to watch. The second is one of the players I talked about earlier that I hinted towards, the teammate of Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, the self-proclaimed best shooting big in the NBA. Now, I have him as like the third best center in the league, or whoever. But he has been the reason that the Minnesota Timberwolves have been as relevant as they have this season. While they're still not, super good, they've been better than they were the past couple years because Cat has been able to stay healthy. Now, right now, he's out with COVID, but Cat putting up 20 and 10 on really good efficiency and being able to take step back threes at 7 foot. He deserves an all-star spot. At number 3, I had Ja Morant as a probable. Ja Morant started out the season as like an MVP candidate in that first week, and then he missed 2 weeks. I believe it was ankle injury. And his team went on that amazing run, which kind of hurt his MVP chances. Not that I think they were going to last, but when he came back, he's still been really good. He's one of the more entertaining players in the league. It'll be a first All-Star nod. And right now, the conversation has switched from who should have been the number 1 pick in 2019 to why Ja Morant should have been the number 1 pick in 2019, which I thought he should have when the draft came around. And I got a lot of criticism for that. But, hey, I was right and they were wrong. The next probable player I have is Devin Booker of the Phoenix Suns. Now, I have 2 Phoenix Suns players because they are the top seed in the West right now. I think they're still the top. I don't think the Warriors have claimed that quite yet. But Devin Booker has been having one of his more efficient seasons this year, shooting above 40% from 3, so averaging 20 points. I love Devin Booker. I think he's a lot of fun to watch. The next player is Devin Booker's teammate. That is going to be Chris Paul. So Chris Paul is one of the more clutch players in the league. Every fourth quarter, it seems like it's Chris Paul's time to shine. He had 2 games against the Mavericks where we were going up in the fourth quarter and Chris Paul came to play and we lost because Chris Paul just took over in the basketball game and we ended up losing. And Chris Paul does that night in, night out. Still one of the best facilitators at like 36 years old. The next player I have is Damian Lillard. Now, Damian Lillard was terrible at the start of the year. Absolutely terrible. Bad numbers, bad shooting splits, everything. But in the past 3 weeks, he's turned it up. He's been winning Player of the Week, stuff like that. Shooting 45% from 3 in the past couple weeks, and he has kind of turned around a bad situation in Portland. Now it's still a bad situation, and Dame, please get out. But he has made a bad situation okay, and we just got word that CJ McCollum will be coming back from his collapsed lung. So good for you, CJ. We were all rooting for you. And then the last player for my probable tier is Draymond Green. Now, Draymond Green's numbers aren't there, but his impact is beyond deniable. We all know the defense is there. We all know the facilitating is there. The scoring is there, but he is the anchor of the best team in the league, and he deserves an all-star spot because of that. And then my locks, not a whole lot of explanation here. Luka Doncic, Steph Curry, LeBron James, Nikola Jokic, and Donovan Mitchell. If those 5 players don't make the All-Star game, then we have something severely wrong. So moving over to the East. The East was incredibly hard to figure out. So with my borderline players, I have Jaylen Brown, Chris Middleton, Jared Allen, and Darius Garland. All 4 of these players, I think, can easily make the All-Star game. But in my probable tier list, or my probable tier, I don't know who I'd take out for them. Darius Garland is one of my favorite players in the NBA. One of the best pick and roll scorers in the league. Jared Allen is the other end of that. He's Darius Garland's running mate with the pick and roll. Chris Middleton was the hardest person to put in borderline. And looking at it, it looks weird. He has missed some time, and I don't know who I'd take out for him. When we get to the probables, someone might say, oh, you should have taken out X, Y, and Z. But I have an argument for everybody here. Then my last borderline player is Jaylen Brown. I'll just say it right now. It was either Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum for this one. And while Jason Tatum started out the season real bad, He's been picking it up, and he's missed less time than Jaylen Brown. Is kind of where I come down to this, is the time played with him and with Jaylen and Jason. So now the probables, I talked about Jason Tatum. He's averaging a lot of points. He's the best player on the Celtics still. I think Jaylen Brown, give him another year, he might overtake him. But right now, it's Jason Tatum. Zach LaVine is the second probable I have. Zach LaVine is one of the best scorers in the league. He's leading one of the more surprising teams in the league in the Chicago Bulls. And he has a running mate that is also going to be in the All-Star game. So I'll talk about later. And then we have Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal, while he's not having the season that he had last year, not averaging 30 points, he's still averaging like 25. And he is the best player on the Washington Wizards. And the Washington Wizards have been the most surprising team in the league this year. Now, they've kind of fallen off in the past couple of games, but Bradley Beal is the heart and the soul of that team. And once again, just like Damian Lillard, please get out of there. The next player I have is James Harden. Now, James Harden is the player that if I had to move a Jaylen Brown or a Chris Middleton up, I would move James Harden down. But I think James Harden has the name, he has the counting stats, and as of recent, we just saw him on Christmas Day, just yesterday, put up 30-point triple-double to beat the Lakers. He has those moments. So I think James Harden will stay in the All-Star, and I think he deserves it too. He's been having a down season, but he's still been good. Jimmy Butler is my second to last. Now, Jimmy Butler has also missed a considerable amount of time. Just came back for the first time in like 5 games today. But at the first 2 weeks of the year, he was an all-star candidate. He was playing amazing defense, amazing scoring. Can't really keep him down. And then LaMelo Ball is my last all-star. He's been the heart and the soul of this Hornets team. Now, Miles Bridges also has an argument. If I had a tier below borderline, Miles Bridges would be in that tier. But LaMelo Ball has the name. He's got the highlights. He's got the NBA media behind him. I think he is an all-star this year, and I think he deserves it as well. And then for my locks, we have Kevin Durant, self-explanatory, MVP. Giannis, debatably the best player in the league. Trae Young. I mean, if Trae Young's not on here, what are we doing? DeMar DeRozan, who is the most surprising lock out of these 10 players. If you asked me at the beginning of the year, if I had DeMar DeRozan as an all-star lock, you'd call me crazy, or I'd call you crazy. And then finally, Joel Embiid. So those are my 5 locks at the East. So let me know what you guys thought. This is really hard to do because I hate leaving out players like a Darius Garland or a Chris Middleton because I just love those guys. And leaving them out kind of hurts because I know that they deserve to be here. And I just don't know who I'd take out for them. So that's the issue with doing all this. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. And I'll see you a little bit closer to the All-Star game. And I'll probably look back at my predictions at the beginning of the year, see if I was right or wrong. So yeah, see you guys. Peace.